Hey guys, Ben here from Second Dynasty. Hey, actually looked and checked to make sure my microphone's working for once, so hopefully the stream is now working. You guys are seeing the results. Say hello in the chat. Hey Blasted, hey Solo Spirit, Tamsin, good afternoon. I'm Ben from Second Dynasty. I make 3D printable starships along with my team of cohorts, and we have an ongoing campaign on Kickstarter at the moment. Starship 6 Sole Survivor. We've just hit, we had hit 31,000, but then we dropped it back, which is a normal thing. It happens, especially now towards the end of the campaign. On offer is our Erebus, our Sole Survivor, and of course the Typhon, the larger version. Sort of a similar frame. We can look at it in 3D in a second. So today, for once, I'm not in a rush to leave afterwards. We'll see how the stream goes. If I hit a flow, maybe it'll continue. We'll see how I feel. It does take it out of you just yapping for hours on end. Morning, Storch. Morning, Mon Capitan. Shergel. Yeah, nice to see some familiar faces. So yeah, we're doing well right now, and I'm getting to that point where you want to sort of summarize at the top all the goodies that people are going to get. We have that awesome sort of review by Gaming Geek. I think Kathy was going to do one as well, but I'm not sure if she managed to do it in time. We also sent some other samples to some other places. So we'll see, maybe that'll turn up. I'm supposed to be getting free models from both Kaioshiniku and Papsicles, but both have been a bit slow with delivery. There are some additional sculpts I've ordered too from Kaioshiniku, so we'll see what happens. And we're in awesome, Sam, wonderful. And hi, Anders. And we're kind of at this stage where you kind of just want to make sure that people that are going to hit the campaign in those final 48 hours are presented with like, okay, this is what I'm actually getting. And hopefully we see a decent surge. We have, about 375 backers at the moment. With the next couple of days and the final surge, we should easily be able to hit 450 to 500 in that ballpark. I'd love to see 500. I always hate seeing campaigns. Even if this is a smaller campaign, we still have an entry-level pledge at just 20 euros, which I think is quite respectable for a ship the size of the Erebus. And complication. In the background, you might hear some mumbling, or it might come across as mumbling to you guys. That's Albin. And yeah, it's going to be fun to see just how much will be rewarded or not by the community. We still, of course, do have a bunch of stretch goals that we're working towards. I can go over that briefly and talk about what we've released since last week. So it tends to go a bit slow, but we did unlock both the environmental suit and the landing gear versions. I was working on the environmental suit last week. Not sure if it was released yet or not at that point. I probably could technically look it up, but we're not going to do that. And now we were working towards the aerodynamic variant, which I sort of knocked out fairly quickly, but I think it'll be an easy implementation. Had a kind of Buck Rogers-y feel, people are saying, and I have to agree with that, at least with a pronged front. And then, of course, we can talk about our bonus situation. Hey, this looks old. Why isn't it 9? Let me just refresh that. Oh, I haven't changed the graphic. Okay, you guys, we can see a little bit behind the scenes here. I don't know why that didn't work. I'm just going to double refresh. And we go all the way down here. There's so much stuff to get past. I'm really glad they got bookmarks now. But we want to replace this graphic with let's see, we want to go to sales material for Soul Survivor and into stretch goals there. And we want the socials there because we definitely have 9 unlocked at the moment. And we're quite close. Let me just double check that this is refreshing. I'll probably do an update either today or on Monday. Generally speaking, they don't like you doing updates because it reminds people that they might want to drop a pledge. I don't really feel like we're that kind of people. We're actually very close to unlocking some more social stretch goals. So the way this works is by reposting, commenting, sharing, liking, all that sort of stuff. You can actually improve the campaign even more by adding social unlocks. So basically, the more exposure that we get, the more people are likely to back, and a way to encourage us getting more exposure is if the people that are interested in backing as it is or have backed just share it, on their social media in some way, or contribute to our visibility on the Kickstarter platform just by leaving a comment or whatnot. Things have been a little bit slow on this campaign, if I'm being perfectly honest, and I think a part of the reason for that is I just didn't have it up and running, and it was a classic case of when we launched the campaign, I'm already at a point where I'm pretty much exhausted. And you just get to that Easter break and you're like, oh yeah, I need holidays. And then after that we have the animation festival where I, at least for the last couple of years, have been the host, the MC I guess. And that's a rather intense 3 days and does take away from production time too. But the one that we unlocked was hitting 200% because we hit over 30,000 in funding. That bumped us up to 9, which with the accumulated points, you can kind of see that each of these social stretch goal bonuses has a value. So once you get enough bonuses, you get, once we get to 11, we'll be unlocking Edgeminen. And also this doesn't look like the latest version of that either. So I really don't know why this hasn't worked. Because the text here does look, maybe I saved over it by accident by not refreshing properly. So let's see now. We want the social stretch goals there. So I did add the new suit display, which I have included in what I'm going to be working on today, mostly to show you guys what it looks like. Really happy with the way that came out. I haven't really done very much sculpting or that sort of thing, although I think the shaders are a bit different. Hello, Clive. Sam asks, 80 euro gets me all in digital, gets both boats and STL files. Yes, everything new to this campaign, STL wise. So that is digital files for 3D printing. Of course, if you don't have a 3D printer, we do offer the Erebus itself. John will print it out and send it to you, and I can tell you he's a hell of a lot better at printing than I am. Whatever John applies himself to, he usually becomes a bit of a savant in. He's a real clever gentleman. So let's jump back to that, and yeah, we should be able to see now that this is updated. God, I'm a bit miffed that didn't come up. In any case, let's get to the good stuff, because I'm sure you guys want to see what's going on in 3D. So here is our Erebus. Here is our Typhon. I don't know why it's doing that green thing. It's just a Maya bug. There's a couple of bits here that should probably be on a different layer. This scene is starting to get a bit messy. It needs some actual tidying up. But let me just put that on the Typhon top. Why are there 2 layers? Looks like one of them's referenced for some reason, but yeah, I'm just going to add that as well, so you can kind of see down into the design. I did do some exterior hull work on this this week, just tidying up the end here. I'm by no means finished, but you can kind of see now there's no cracks on this end. I'll be working on making that manifold, so moving the roof under there, and yeah, just getting it to look better. So Typhon is quite substantially larger than the shuttle. So this is 13 inches, fully printed at 28 millimeters. Of course, if you own a 3D printer, you can print out you can print this out at a higher or lower scale if you prefer. And we know that you can basically take it down to about 54% would be 15 mil scale. And the clips should work on that. I think the only thing you might have to glue is, like, we did use some clippy clips. What are they called?
Supporty clips.
Supporty clips. John's clips. Connecting some parts of the control panel. Otherwise it should work. And if you stick a smaller nozzle on your printer, you should be able to make it work at that scale. I believe Shergold has been involved in printing at that scale. And of course you can scale up as well. And up works much better. You actually get even more detail. So if you wanted to do that at 30 mil, 32 mil, or 35 mil even, you can do it. It's just you're going to exponentially increase the volume as well. And that's kind of what the Typhon does as well. It is not just double, it's more than double the length, or it is double the length really. No, slightly more by the looks of things. So this thing is bigger than a Type S. Like, if we actually took out this middle section, you'd probably be quite similar in size to a Type S. But it has 3 decks, and they're quite beefy. I can just, I haven't done this for a while, so I can take the top off and sort of show you inside. So you've got your top deck here, your sort of galley, there's like a skylight above, you've got your ladder well down. You've got a ton of crawl spaces. So the idea of this is we really wanted to create those sort of like alien-esque hidey holes as places for the creature to drop down. Of course, our creature is a little bit more, how would you describe it? The Benjamorph is a bit more disturbing in any case. But you can kind of see this is a sort of engineering section where the power plant is going to be. I'm thinking eventually we're going to replace this with a more interesting design. But we haven't quite gotten to it at this point in time. So I don't know if it'll be in the final version. It is important to mention that at the moment, Typhon, although like the layout's all done, it's still a sort of concept, and it's going to take several months to get it to a printable state. But of course we have a massive 11 Kickstarter track record of doing that. So hopefully people are not too bothered by that. And of course, if I turn off deck A of the Typhon, there's a few items here that won't follow along, but you can kind of see the general gist of it. You can see down into the cargo bay. At the moment we haven't got the, there should be, I haven't got it in the scene at the moment, but you can fit our APC in there. Of course, these are the old style static power loaders. Last week we showed off Albin's fully articulated ones.
Yeah.
Do we have a fully articulated FDM that we can show?
Yeah, we do. With slightly updated the joints. So these, on one side at least, they come from
okay,
the
so let me switch over to my close-up camera.
Okay.
And
there we go.
Oh, you're putting the pilot in.
Putting the pilot in. So this is quite fragile. I'm a bit surprised of how fragile it is at the moment.
Okay, so we've got our articulated version. This isn't like, you can kind of see the hands are different at the moment. The one on the left is, well, it'll be to the right of the screen, but the left of the power loader. There we go. That one is the standard style. And then, of course, we are working on a version for our tribe. Yeah, militarized versions, which is where this arm on the opposite side is coming from, and actually that will have a weapon mounted on it. I think a flamethrower? Or is it just a test?
I think it's going to be a flamethrower on the right arm and a machine gun on the left.
Something like that. So sorry about this, I keep moving it and putting it out of focus, and there is some stringing going on. We haven't taken to it with a lighter. The miniature itself isn't properly posed, but we did choose a chair that should work with all of our seated miniatures. And we decided to make it seated for a reason. I went over this, but the feet are articulated.
Yay!
The hip joint is articulated. Taking it off right now because it's It's just we did it in
prototype.
parts. Albin's in the stage where he's like trying to figure out how we can print it. It does require supports. We just can't do something like this without supports. But the arms as well, and then even the little the
cage.
cockpit cage comes off.
Woo!
All right,
let's.
Yeah, so we're kind of excited for that, and the militarized versions are going to be popping up in. Or I may as well like show off. Let's see. I need to get. Let's see. There's a couple of dog pictures and things in here. I don't think there's anything absolutely strange here. You can see it's all like 50% my dog and 50% spaceships, as usual. But we want to get into photos here, and I think no, not photos. Sorry, we want to go into images, and then I made a mock-up. So this is the version where, geez, that's taking an awful long time to load. This is the version that's coming to Tribes on the 1st of June. So it is up armored, has armor plating, weapons. We also did a tribute to the Hacksmith version by having a sort of like tread version. The treads won't roll or work or anything like that, but there's still a bit of articulation. And then the close-up of the version that Albin's working on for the add-on for this campaign is this. So I love the way it's looking at the moment. It still captures the spirit of what a power loader should be, but is visually distinct from the power loader in Aliens, obviously. Yeah. So, which is the way that we want to keep things. So let me go back. I haven't been able to see the chat for a while, so I'm just going to go back to that and see what people are saying.
They're being crabby.
So, awesome, Sam, if you're backing, wonderful. Shergol says, indeed, I've been doing a lot of 15mm things. Lots of things in comparison to scales on our Discord. I recommend you join it. I think links down below. Lots of visual stuff, people's paint jobs, people's print jobs, just to get an idea about like what people can actually do with our stuff. 15mm scale will be challenging for making 15mm figures and using tweezers to move them around. Yeah, that's why I don't like 15mm scale. Then the cockpit cage comes off, activating the ejector seat. Clive says, we'll be doing some cargo that will fit the cargo loader's graspers. I believe we already have some.
Oh, okay. Well, I like that.
From back in the day, but the short answer is yes. That makes a lot of sense, I think. Let's see. And then I'm still hoping Ben will try and make a transformable fighter at some point. I would love to do that, but it's just a complicated job. I have like a ton of variable fighter designs, actually. Because I used to draw them back in the day. Macross is how I got into 3D modeling in the first place, modding Homeworld with Macross conversion. And here I am today doing 3D modeling spaceships anyway.
I thought you were going to say God's work.
Well,
no problem.
I don't want to toot my own horn there, but yes. So the main deck consists of the sort of like an airlock level that goes up to the level above. So I do need to sort of reconfigure my layers. There's some more crawl spaces. The idea is you should be able to navigate the ship completely either on foot using doors or through using crawl spaces, which is true. There's not that many safe spaces, so there's a couple of different hatches and access ways and that sort of thing. Kind of like I'm thinking this is where the Benjamorph would nest. And last week I showed off John's eggs, which sounds weirder than it actually is. We've got the med bay. You got your cryo sleep room with showers and a sort of the facilities you would expect, lockers. You have your bridge, and you have your computer core. Still going to detail some of these a bit more, but I needed the basic layout deck plans. I wanted to have these sort of like, the corridors do kind of waste a bit of room, but this chamber is for air recycling, I think, or life support. systems. I think it's air scrubbers basically. They're mentioned in the Alien RPG, so I thought it was important to include that. Then you have your sort of like workshop area, and some life support controls. Just kind of wanted to make the areas of the ship a bit interesting and distinct, so that you can use it in play. So if I turn off the airlock there, if I turn off, let's see, deck B, we can then just see down into the crawl spaces. You get an impression of the scale here with the Sole Survivor. She is kind of short, I guess. She's not really a full height 28mm miniature. She's probably like only 5'5" or something, not 6 foot like a standard miniature would be. But yeah, you get an impression of all the crawl spaces, missing some layers there.
I really like the crawl spaces.
Yeah, it really... I'm looking forward to seeing this one actually built out. So I'm just going to turn this back on. We're going to put the roof back on. And we'll leave it... Oh, where did that roof go? Oh yeah, part of the airlock maybe. So let's put airlock alternative 2 there. There we go. So, it's not the alternative anymore, that's the definitive one. I kind of like the way that this has changed the shape, and I think when you dock, these things would swing back and basically flip over. So, you go to dock, this flips back like so, right? Then you can dock. That's the idea anyway. Although now that I'm seeing it, maybe this needs to be a bit shorter or something. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I thought I like the design. I like the elements of asymmetry. It's quite deliberate. If you really wanted symmetry, you could add it without too much of a hassle, just by mirroring parts. And I also haven't shown off this door yet. So one thing that bothers me in the back of my head, even though I don't think most people think about it, is that these doors would really struggle to work the way they're designed to go up into the roof, right? Like if we look at this door and you had it go up to there, I mean, it would just barely, see how it's cresting here? It's just not enough room in reality. So most people I don't think care. So I did do this door, which has like, implies it opens from the side instead. I don't know if we'll throw that in as a bonus or what the deal will be yet. But yeah, what we're here for. Let me just check the chat one last time. It's mostly 15 mil discussions in there. Hey Brian. The second door with the split you like, Brian? Nice. So yeah, let's take the roof off this thing and have a look at what we're going to be working on today, what I've been saving up, what I think will be the next stretch goal, because like again, once we hit 33k, and look, I'm not going to toot our own horn, but from past experience, statistically, we should be getting close to 40,000 euros by the time the campaign ends. So I know there's only 5 days left, but the 48-hour surge, depending on how much we've impressed people, really can make a big difference for funding. In the past, it represented an entire third of the campaign of funding. At the moment, we're just about 31,000 if we haven't just got an extra pledge that puts us back over the edge there. Yeah, it looks like we didn't, and I'm guessing we know who to thank for that, Sam. But the... God, now I've jumped around too much. So we do need 1 or 2 additional stretch goals for funding-wise. And then I wanted to talk also about what we're going to do on My Mini Factory afterwards. But I will just take the top off to begin with, and we can look at that upcoming change. And I just realized I took the top off the Typhon instead of the Erebus. Like I said, this is a messy scene. So first of all, here is the suit for that social stretch goal. If we hit, I think, is it 11 or 13 credits? 13 credits, I think. So we're a ways off, but I'm hoping we'll see a surge in those last couple of days when we've got more eyes on things. The thing is, at the moment, we have 1 or 2 people that are really dedicated, and we just need about 4 or 5 to be doing the same sort of thing. There are a couple of easy wins in there as well. We're quite close to hitting 3.4K on our Facebook page. We're very close to, I think we've only got 100 views left to 1K on the YouTube video, for example. And yeah, this is where we ended up with the suit. This isn't printable, it's just a concept. Also, this kind of configuration, really, to be honest, resin's going to be the way to go with this piece. It will need supports, and this kind of fiddly stuff, I'm kind of okay with that. I think some compromises need to be accepted. So this will have a slot to slide in on the wall. It doesn't exist at this very second, but yeah, that's how it will look. And I'd like to do a piece too where we basically can fit another 2 suits in there. Maybe not with the same sort of rig, but just like we've got these wall prongs that we could use. You can see they're being used on this side for some instrumentation. So here it would be nice to have 3 suits in total, because the ship is meant to have a crew of 3. But yeah, the main change, it's like the concept here is, what if you want to use the shuttle in system? Because at least in the Alien universe, I mean, they're using cryo sleep or hypersleep on long journeys, and the in-game lore of that is that when the ship is at FTL, it starts to mess with your brain, so they kind of need to put people to sleep, otherwise they go nuts, right? But say you're in a system, you've got multiple colonies in the same system, you just want to go back and forth, you want to survey, that sort of thing. You need the facilities to live on that shuttle, whereas the stock Erebus is basically the lifeboat version. So this converts the sort of living, the main area into somewhere where you could have a meal. You know, you could fit 4 or 5 people around this table easily. I'm going to do some shelving and for some stores. We have these beds. It wouldn't be enough for everyone. You'd still have to sort of rotate. And that's what I was working on just before, so you can kind of see it's really not fitting in place at the moment. And then of course you would need a water closet, and the idea being that these sections here along the side, which I can deselect that, are actually like inbuilt privacy screens. So you sort of go in, you can hit a button, it'll lock the stall, and you can do your business with a bit of privacy. And I mean, there is like a window peeking in here, so you avoid some peeping toms. Oh, and the other thing too with this other door is it actually has some controls on the door itself, so kind of makes sense. So, and then we've moved our crow sleep chambers down here. There is technically room for another one right there. So this one kind of has ditched the third one at the moment. But you could put it downstairs here. Maybe reposition the ladder so it's on this side. Actually, that kind of makes a little bit of sense. Let's just see how this is going to look. I'm just going to combine these. And I'm going to flip that around 90 degrees. And I am using my grids. And at the moment, we're intersecting with parts and everything. So, I mean, if we put that back there, that should work all right. And look, I have tested it out, and there is actually a lot more clearance down here than it looks. It's like about 1.5 meters, so it is cramped, but enough to get the screens up without it hitting anything.
We got a good question.
Okay.
I think, is there room on the table for a mini to be sprawled on it with a chest burster?
I mean, it is a smaller table than that. I guess though, technically, it's a lot bigger than you think, because each of these squares, like Okay, this is 2 squares, right? Each is an inch, representing 1.5 meters. So technically this is 3 meters wide, which is actually a massive table.
Yeah, it's like 2 meters wide or something.
Yeah, the table would be 2 meters wide. So yes, you could. But I mean, we also build things out so it looks good with miniatures, right? So
like heroic scale, what is it called?
I think 28 millimeters is often called heroic scale, yeah. So yeah, if we had a third cryo sleep chamber there, maybe you can keep your crew of 3 in this configuration. I've made the lid on that just fit 2 squares rather than 4. So this would have been our sort of underfloor cargo bay storage. Obviously, there's not as much clearance. There's still some room. Maybe we could make a ladder that sort of like retracts. I don't know. But yeah, it's just a concept and an idea. So what do you guys think of this sort of direction for an alternative interior?
Oh, you approve!
Yeah, I love it when you positively reinforce me, Alvin. It's great. Thank you, Tam. I didn't mean to sound sarcastic or anything, so I hope you guys don't ever take anything from my tone or anything like that. I'm usually quite exhausted by the time we get to Fridays. This week I don't feel like I've gotten all that much done because I've been stuck at home with the...
Fur baby.
Yeah, with the fur baby, and unfortunately he is of a species that really doesn't like thunderstorms, and we had 2 storms yesterday, which was fun. I love comforting it's kind of ironic seeing a greyhound, which looks like quite an aggressive dog, really, just literally like shaking, possibly at the point of having being frightened to death. That's really so good. I think one thing we could maybe do too here is just like replace this little thing with like a coffee machine. I think Alvin would appreciate that. So yeah, a smaller couch makes it easier to drop seated figures into. Yeah, I mean I did base these off these chairs, so I haven't tested with the miniatures, but it should seat the miniatures. And of course, these will probably just be loose furniture. So, I mean, this table thing will probably be built in. I don't know if... actually, this print's on the back, so maybe I will take out the actual table leg underneath and just have it as a part of this. Maybe create an arm or something. Yeah, I don't know. So... I just wanted to talk briefly before we get into any modeling about what's coming after Wednesday. And I'm kind of excited to see what kind of reaction we're going to get with the final 48 hours ending on a Wednesday. We've never done it like that. We started the campaign on a Monday and we're finishing on a Wednesday. We usually do that with it'll be 3 weeks plus 2 days. So basically 3 weeks we're campaigning, then you have 2 final 48 hours. The final 48 hours covers the last 2 days. And then we have a process of about 2 weeks before Kickstarter pays us. Although we have recently been, as soon as we see that your funds have cleared, we can see that on Kickstarter at a certain point. The pledges get dropped. We still haven't got the money, but we know that you guys have paid for your pledge. So we'll probably have about a week before when we have the turnover. So the other major difference is here we have a campaign which has both physical and 3D printable digital files as an option. So you can get the 3D printed files to just print it out yourself. Or you could get one of John's awesome prints at 28 millimeters. The thing is, after the campaign, we're kind of splitting in 2 different directions. So there will be a pledge manager that John has, where you'll be able to upgrade, add additional copies. Maybe we'll offer some small things. We don't know what we're getting to at this point in time. There was some talk of maybe having resin clear window upgrades. that sort of thing. We don't know at this point in time if we can offer the actual miniatures, but we did get some pricing on that because our next campaign. The thing is, I don't know if now's a good time to announce it or not, but all of this funding is meant to help pay for the Persephone. That is my Nostromo-like vessel. It's basically, I'd say it's about twice the interior volume of the Typhon. It will be one of our largest ships we've ever made, if not the largest. Maybe not the longest, but very large. And I was looking to launch this in like October to November of this year. But to be perfectly honest, I'm not shitting on Mongoose in any way. It's just the process of approval is taking a little longer than I thought with our interim campaign, which should be focused on the Traveller license with the Fifth Frontier War. And that and the fact that Brian, who was going to print, Brian Jenkins, that is, who was going to paint the Persephone as I finish modeling it, so that we have sort of like a studio quality model, or as close to as we can get, because I'd love to recreate the Nostromo landing sequence sort of like with the Persephone, but I don't think we got enough time if it's going to be this year. And the thing is, running Kickstarters, you get to the end of November, what is there in the US? And I can say 65% of our customers are based in the United States. They're thinking about Thanksgiving, they're thinking about Christmas, the spending or splurging on 3D printable spaceships is not really, it doesn't become high priority, right? It's a luxury item, a hobby item. So it isn't really until February, March that people start recovering. So we kind of got to decide, we're going to launch late October and sort of do a rush job on it, or are we going to wait until March? The problem is that wait till March is massive, but I can see now that the process of approval for Mongoose is going to take long enough that what we were hoping to go like around the 1st of July. That's just not going to happen anymore. It's already almost June as it is. So I think what we'll probably do is push that back to very late August, and then we'll run something smaller towards the end of the year. I've got kind of on the back burner, I've got the Hammerhead scout ship as a standalone thing, as a sort of mini campaign, not looking like to make huge amounts of money on it, just enough to sort of get us through the new year to launch Persephone. So that's kind of like where we're at. But as I was saying, with the pledge manager, we need to have a pledge manager for STL files and one for the physical prints. So this campaign will be the only time when you can actually get a direct link to the physical prints, because what's going up on my mini factory will be digital only. So we will refer you to John if you want the physical prints. But it will be on a separate pledge manager, and I know he's going to increase his prices too pretty much straight away, so that I know it sounds like a lot for some people with the 120 euro starting point. I don't know what it'll probably be in US dollars on his store. I don't know what the finished product's going to cost, but I do know it's likely to go up in price. And of course, we want to make the Kickstarter more attractive. You caved in and back, Tamsin. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. And also, I think, Tamsin, you're one of our, well, I know you're one of our friends of Benjamin and on our tribe. And actually next month, I don't know if you saw the last tribes updates. I'm trying to see if I've got it open somewhere. Is this the front page? No, this is my everything. Jesus, that wasn't good. So yeah, I might have to cut that part out. Yeah, okay, let's go to the tribe here, which is just one click over to the side here. You can see the Walker tank was the last release that we made. Well, you could. It seems my mini factory's taken a little bit of time. And our tribes updates, the last post, which will also take time. Oh, just on the Discord. But you've been one before or something like that? So yeah, I made a post in any case. Right. Definitely a huge community member if you've gotten into that secret, not so secret tribe channel. But yeah, I wanted to talk on this update about the military loaders, which I showed before. And then you can see this earlier version with both the claws, lots of string going on. But honestly, we kind of designed this more with resin in mind. But obviously, from the evidence, you can print it in FDM as well. But yeah, Tamsin's passenger model is going to be free to the whole tribe this time. If you're on the Friends of Benjamin and it comes a month early with our passenger series, John just models up select people that kindly offer up their appearances to become miniatures, and you can see that there are two versions, one that works seated and one that works lying in the crow chambers. So if you want to have a nice sort of corporate style character, I guess, in the sort of like suit dress, or I don't know what to call it, this is a good one. And we're never going to put these ones on sale. They're just free models as a part of the tribe, partially because John doesn't think he's good enough for it to be charged, but he's getting a lot better, I have to say. And this is
Awesome.
we're kind of watching him improve while we get to it. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So I thank you again, Tamsin, for that. And I want to go back to the campaign page here. And you're probably sick and tired of me talking about all of this stuff, but yeah, we talked to MMF. We will be having doing a frontier as opposed to just a pledge manager. Part of the reason I do this is because if you choose the pledge manager, you get no information on the My Mini Factory site. What I'll leave open is if we've got one last stretch goal that we didn't reach or something like that, I'll allow like the first couple of weeks to help fund that, and we'll continue with the social stretch goals. Although we might have to change them slightly to accommodate, like you couldn't just keep commenting on the Kickstarter, that would be pointless. So yeah, there is that. Right, let's get into some modeling because it is quarter two, and what I was working on are the beds here, and we'll continue to do that. So if I turn on the top of the Erebus here, what I want to look at and look out for is this intersection. So we do have some stuff we need to accommodate. It kind of makes sense for me if this thing went all the way up to the roof. So maybe we could re-implement the drawers. I just want to see how high up I can bring this before we get some intersection here. So this is the main thing that I don't want to change that. So maybe we'll leave it at where it is. We need to leave a piece that sort of slots in. It is getting a bit annoying with all this stuff in the way, so I apologize about that. But yeah, we need to create an object that is going to fit relatively tightly, but not interfere with all of these other parts. So I'm going to turn off the roof again. And today we might run over just a bit because yeah, I'm not in a rush to go anywhere, and I'm just going to use my snapping tools here. So oh, we got a whole ton of stuff in the chat, I see. Let's see, derivative content appropriate considering what we do. Great name. What would a space age suit dress be? A formal tunic? I'm not sure. There's some questions there about the loader. And Martin Stewart says, hello, will the ships fit on an Ender 3 bed? Yes, they definitely will. You might, well, yes. Definitely the Erebus, without question. And in general, that's a pretty good bed size. So I'd say even the Typhon will fit on that. No, I don't even have to say it. It will fit on it. So because I think the Ender 3 is something like between 20 to 25 centimeters by, I think it's 25 by 25 or something like that. So you should be able to fit all of the parts. It is roughly about the same size as a Prusa. So definitely. We tend to try and make things fit on a, let's see, I'm wondering if this is actually just a simple enough job here that we can pull these down like so. If we turn on that roof again, yeah, there's going to be enough space there so that, and we might actually just like blunt this curve a little, and I'll explain what I mean in a second. But yeah, definitely will fit on an Ender 3. We try to make it so it will fit on a Prusa Mini if possible. The largest part is by far this back plate, and I think, well, we can kind of count the squares. It's like about 7 inches, and you can actually rotate it flat on the bed so it kind of goes diagonal. So you should be able to fit. It doesn't fit on a Mini, that part. Let's see. Shadow Liger, welcome. We'll have to get back to work. I just wanted to wish good luck, and I'm looking forward to the additional kit bashing on the expanded Typhon. We'll be catching up on the stream later as I drive for holiday. As you drive, well, I hope you're just listening and not watching. But what holiday is it? Oh, is it like, is that maybe Memorial Day or something? Mother's Day? What?
No, it's past already, I think.
Oh, is it Mother's Day here this weekend?
Yeah, last Sunday.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Because the Australian one and the American one are on the same date, and it's usually the second Sunday in May. I'm looking forward. Yeah, I don't know. I know that I'm trying to think of public holidays in America, but I don't know where they all come up. I know it's a bank holiday in the UK. Coming up on I think it's Monday, but I'm not sure.
What does that mean? That the banks have a holiday? Or?
It means they're closed.
Ah, so you're not celebrating the banks en masse?
I don't know what the deal is. I mean, it's kind of more like the Swedish word for it, like a red day, right? But it's like a holy day. That's what holiday means. Holy day. But traditionally off from work, so you can do religious stuff. Okay, I like those bunks at Shadow Lagers. Nice. They are repurposed from the Typhon, and of course they have appeared a bit earlier, but they remind you more of less of Alien and more of Red Dwarf. I don't take that as a negative.
Red Dwarf, that's the comedy show, right?
It's cold outside. Yes, it is. It's the one with the cat and the hologram, and the dumbest human left alive. So Ender 3 is 22 by 22. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I would say you wouldn't have any issues. That's, let's see, that's over 8 inches. Yeah, no worries. Let's see. Monday is Memorial Day. There you go. I wasn't too far off. UK bank holiday is the equivalent of a public holiday. Thanks, Clive, for that. Just like Wednesday is Odin's Day, Woden's Day, Wednesday. Yes, it's more like the English corruption of that. There was a period where, or rather, Woden is more like the Old English version of the. It's Proto-Germanic.
I like how that becomes like an excuse.
Well, I mean, it's not really a holiday in that sense, but like different. It's in reference to holiday being like a shortening of holy day. Okay, the UK has bank holidays and public holidays, but most people call them all bank holidays. Fair enough. So thank you for the education there. Much appreciated. Yes, all of the weekdays are actually Old Norse, aside from Saturday and Sunday, which are Roman. So Monday is Moon Day. Actually, Sunday is also Norse. So it's just Saturday.
That's weird.
So Monday, Moon Day. Tuesday, Tyr's dog. So like Tyr, the god of justice, the one-handed god. Then you've got, of course, Wednesday is Odin's Day. Thursday is Thor's Day. Friday is either Freya or Frigga's Day, depending on which one they decide on, I guess. And then, of course, Saturday in Swedish is closer to the Old Norse, lördag, which actually means washing day, which also says something about the Norse people, that they're a bit more hygienic than the English at the time, at least. And then Sunday, of course, is Sunday. Not that that's one of those words that has stayed in. It's a Germanic word common to both English and Old Norse and Swedish, basically. Except, well, close enough. So in Swedish, söndag, Sunday, måndag, tisdag, onsdag, torsdag, fredag, lördag. There you go. Learn something new. So most of those days are pretty much the same. It's the same thing, just in a sort of Swedish sounding version of things. So only washing once a week. Hey, in the Middle Ages, in the Dark Ages, that was a lot. And just ask the Victorians how often they bathed. Ugh.
Oh, how often did they bathe?
They didn't.
Oh
Twice a year. They wore the same clothes, basically. Yeah. They were nasty. So.
Was it like the big cholera? Was it during Victorian age or?
What? I heard. Was it like Bitcoin?
Outbreak?
Oh, I don't think it's related to cholera. Oh well, maybe the not washing was. Yeah, I don't honestly know all of the details. Just that the Victorians were pretty funky.
Well, when is this even? Is it like the beginning of the?
It's under the reign of Queen Victoria. Hence the name.
I guess Google is my friend then.
Google is your friend, but also like yeah, it's considered like a golden age of England, I guess. At least in civilization terms, it would be considered a golden age. Basically, when the British Empire was at its zenith, or height, or whatever word you want to use to describe it. So let's say I need to go like this. Actually, one trick I might do here is, part of the reason why this is at an odd angle is because it's not correctly aligned to the grid, but if I move my pivot point to the grid and then move this, that looks more like 45 degrees-ish. And I just need to see where that roof is again. So we're going to have to cut through here, and I'll probably move some of these pivot points around. It commemorates when Britain exported civilization to the world. You are welcome. Yes, the Aboriginal people, thank you.
Oh my god.
That got dark very quick.
Yeah.
Especially the Tasmanian ones. Oh wait, there are none anymore.
What?
Or as I like to say, there are as many Aboriginal people today in Australia as there were in 1788. Do the math on that one. Alright, anyway, thank you. Let's see. I'm going to move that across there. So we're just trying to recreate the shape. Sorry, not recreate the shape. We're trying to just create something that can slot into that wall there. And I think this... Sorry, this roof really keeps getting in the way. Actually, why don't we put that on... We'll just put the wireframe on so we can kind of see where the wireframe is, but see through it. Is that like clear to you guys, or is it too much spider webbing? Let's see. Mon Capitan says, reasons why the Victorians wore clothing with so many layers. Oh, what, to keep the stink off. British food and British women made British men the best sailors in the world. that is a good one. That is a good one. No, it's a very interesting period of history, actually, and I think it's quite fascinating. But clearly, you can't use modern standards on Victorians or other people, or even in that case, colonialism. They thought they were doing a good thing and making lots of money at the same time. And compared to the people that came before them, I'm sure much better. We're all, the human race is a work in progress.
That's a very good point.
It's just like some countries have later firmware than others, I guess. Sweden's got very high firmware, if you ask me. So yeah, just try to recreate a shape so it looks like you actually install it as a unit. I don't know if it's worth going up to the roof here. It is just like this kind of annoying shape that I don't think it's going to look too good. Or if we did, we could just like make it its own thing.
Store pots and stuff like that up there. A vase you got from grandma.
That would make sense. A vase you got from grandma? Sure, why not?
Is it what you would call dead space, perhaps?
This is a bit more alien than that. So yeah, let's see. I don't know. I'm getting too opinionated on these streams. It's the same last week with the AI thing. So maybe I should just shut my trap and keep to actually modeling the thing that people might be here for. Alrighty. That looks kind of like it's following the same shape. I'm just going to change the shader there so it looks a bit more generic. Well, not generic, but just want to look at what it looks like. And of course, yes, you would have storage up here. And I imagine there's actually room for a lot of storage in the ceiling that you just couldn't see. If we want to look at like inspiration pictures and that sort of thing, I took some recent screenshots of sort of alien isolation with their sort of storage. Now I think the Expanse is more interesting with their sort of storage solutions because those ships are made for, sorry, we're out of the dining area at this point in time.
Like wars and stuff, right?
What?
In the Expanse, they are like transporting goods or what?
No, I just meant like if you look in the galley, they've considered the fact that the ship is not always under gravity. So yeah, just, some of the storage lockers and things. I don't have this just for alien isolation. I usually collect a lot of different pictures, but obviously going for more a Rod and Cobb, what they call retrofuturism, where you've got the old style computers and that sort of thing, that kind of look. Like these things, right? There's obviously some design inspiration from this. They're not identical. You can kind of see it has a different backrest. It doesn't have all the side paddings. These are quite simplified as well. Hey, what's that thing? Oh, I'll need to fix those. That's slightly annoying. But yeah, in general, so we just want to slot this in. So I do feel like, you can kind of see the enormous size of these ladders too. Obviously, these are not ideal for getting up onto a bunk. I can't actually honestly think where the best placement for a ladder is on a bunk. It's kind of annoying. I almost feel as if what you would need is not a ladder going up, but actually a handhold in the ceiling, so that you actually just pull yourself up and lower yourself down. I think that's a much better solution, to be honest. But yeah, and you can kind of see this is intersecting with the floor, and we're really at the concept stage, so we're not too worried about that. Let's see. I'd love to leave a cubby above the bunk, a place for creatures to hide. I mean, this is a very small ship. Technically, maybe there's something behind here. There is a bit of wasted space, but at this point in time, like I agree with the concept, but you're not going to be able to get a miniature into there anyway. So I think we'll just we will just keep this.
On keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.
Isn't that no, never mind.
I really enjoy the company of Elvin. He's never frustrating. Never. I'm being cheeky, of course.
Yes.
So yeah, we just want to make sure that this top part is actually going to fit on this. And I think we need to just come back a little bit over here.
Chris Pratt.
Everyone loves the comeback story. Yeah. Good joke. Right, something like that as the basic shape, and then once we get under here, we can actually just have a sort of flattened off appearance. So what I could actually do is just take this, and I'll move that over into the corner. Wait, why is that not working? Sometimes, for some reason, Maya wants me to rotate the camera before I select this. I think it's a new bug. When I say new, I mean...
It's only 10 years old.
Well, I don't think it's even 10 years old, to be honest.
No.
This one. It feels like it came in recent updates.
Would you call that hyperbole?
I don't know. Jag vill inte hantera språkpoliset. Get enough of that from my wife. I make very many mistakes with my language. And for good reason. She wonders how I function outside of the home. Alrighty, so let's close that off. I mean, this isn't my favorite shape, but really we're just trying to create something that's going to nicely slot in there. I think we can even go to there. Okay, there's some intersection going on. Why is that intersecting? Actually, that can intersect. The problem is over here. These parts have been moved for some reason. Oh, okay, that's great to know. We could have even more room. I think we'll settle with that height. Let's see. A gap where the crew can store their kit bags. If there's a vent plate or cabinet door shape, we can pretend. Indeed, but on the Typhon has a ton of different hiding nooks. The Erebus is much more open, and that's partially intentional, just for the practicality of getting your miniatures in, and partially
Possibly.
Sorry?
I was starting to think about herb. Partially.
Partially? What?
Parsley, like...
oh, parsley.
Yeah.
Okay, I know. What did you call it? An herb?
An herb.
Yeah.
There is like a difference in England.
It's an American thing.
Yeah.
Well, at least I think it is. In Australia, we would say herbs and pronounce the H. Technically, by old rules, you are supposed to pronounce words that start with H, with the H being silent. Well, sorry, if it's followed by an O and a U, which, well, or like a vowel, sort of more like the French style. So, but that comes from French in particular. Most of the difficult things about the English language are French. Probably the biggest shame that you know, the French when the Vikings, you know, pretty much conquered Paris and they gave away Normandy. They were like, yes, but you have to baptize and speak our language. Thanks for that. Or else we'd all be speaking Old Norse in England.
That's insane. Insane is a strong word.
Yes, it is. It is a strong word. So, many things that I design start out very ugly. And many of them finish ugly, but contribute to the whole. So we've kind of got the rough shape. I can now go straight down with that, basically. And it'll feel more cordoned off. Probably need... Yeah, to unify this, but if we turn off the roof again, the whole idea is we just want to get to a point where the render will look good and you can kind of see the bed there. Question is, do we want to put like some kitchenette style stuff in here with the toilet? Or do we want to maybe like ditch one of these machines? Like... and have like a kitchenette sort of setting in there. I don't know where we've got room for things otherwise. I still want you to kind of be able to navigate with a miniature. So having this sort of like navigation table elsewhere could help. Because it's, I think, slightly smaller. It all depends. Do you think it's worth sacrificing some floor space to keep this? Like over here, maybe. I mean, technically, at scale, you would have no problem getting around this table whatsoever. And then what we could do is, like, move this machine. I don't even know what it does, to be honest. And just have it sort of, like, sitting a bit loose. Like here. Alright, that looks like it'll fit. Oh, no, it won't. It wasn't completely there, and that actually makes a bit of a difference. So I don't know, I'm just thinking maybe people want the option of a kitchenette. Maybe we could just not have this machine. Actually, let's move it back into the original position. I'm going to stick it on our standard interior so that it actually disappears. And so if we want to put more suits in there, I think if you're going to have like a galley style area, you would put it in this nook, right? Map table and nav related gear near the pilot seat makes sense. Kitchenette lockers should be near the table. Yeah, I mean... Yeah. So I think... You basically want a waist height sort of bench area. So what I'm actually going to do, I think, is I'm going to create a new polygonal shape over some existing ones. So I'm going to go for this sort of like nook in here, and I'm going to go just to any random polygon in here. Actually no, that's not good at all. I think we need to isolate this and this, and we want it at waist height basically. So now if I create a new polygon, I'm really just looking for something that I can build on. I'm going to get in this nook, although that's a little hard sometimes. There we go. And up here. And the polygon's actually hidden behind the wall. But now that we have the basic shape, we can kind of just snap this to the grid a bit. And we can move this over to there. And then I'm just going to, in theory, this looks like it'll fit. Whoops. What did I do? I'm just going to grab this edge. It's probably a bit hard to see because it's behind some objects. I'm just going to go over to here. Whoa, what's going on there? Have I gone too far? Yes. So in theory that should fit. So if we just take this and then move it out just one step and do an extrusion, we kind of get where we want a countertop to be, right? And that kind of makes sense, right? The height, it would be about the equivalent of the back of the chairs, and similar to like where the table's at. But you know, most tables are slightly lower, and then I guess we'd want to put some back cabinets in and that sort of thing. Maybe this wouldn't be a full kitchen, right? It would just be an area where you can basically store a bunch of different food and that sort of thing. So it's more like you would have a coffee machine, I guess. You would have some storage for food, drawers, that sort of thing. And we'll probably, you know, rip some objects from... This thing is a little bit more expanse style. So I think we probably ultimately want something a little more unique than this. But for now, I'm going to copy what we have, see what we can repurpose and reuse. Oh, and you probably want like a fridge underneath. We've been really bad at making fridges, to be honest. A freezer, a microwave, and a liquids dispenser. Yeah, makes sense. So let's go up, and you probably want most of what's in here. Okay, that's significantly lower than I was expecting. But we should probably keep this at a similar height range. What I would do is maybe... Okay, we want to get rid of this section. Let's see if it is separate. Not entirely, but I think if we delete that... and we don't need the prongs because this is probably just going to be a piece we just fit into place. So if we move this back towards that wall, something like this. I wonder why that's intersecting so much. It feels like it's not quite where it should be. So we're going to stick it out far enough that you can have some depth to it. I'm liking the idea too of kind of like having this wall also have stuff on it, so it is like a nook. And that it sort of like follows the shape of the ship a little bit more would be nice. Because we can easily kick some of this out. So I'm hoping this here is, yes, it's its own object, so we should be able to duplicate this again. Like so. And basically move this over as a like mini fridge. I'm thinking. So like if we repurpose this and trying to think, I'm pretty sure I've made a fridge recently. So I'm going to take a risk now. I mean, it's 4:15 anyway. But I'm going to open up a second copy of Maya. Now I'm getting warm. Is there a space for water processing? I mean, ship would need it to repurpose all manners of fluid. I mean, it all would exist, but there's a question of like how much of it should exist visually or not. Now, the Beowulf has definitely got water treatment in it. Actually, that would have been a cool sort of like machinery. Maybe we'll add that to the Typhon. But I know that if I open up, we have so many scenes. This is ridiculous. Let's see, Traveller 1. If we go into scenes there, we should be able to find the small craft one. Hemisphere cab, passenger module, hard points, and production. So I think this should be the one. Let's hope it's synced. Loading in. All right. So yeah, we have like a fridge here. So the question is if I can repurpose that and save some time. Because I'm You can see it's basically the same style. The difference is like we have the semiotics in there for Traveler. The bed too is nicer on this one. So I'm gonna look at duplicating the meshes here, and I'm just going to. I'm actually going to apply the default shader, standard surface. Why did that? Oh, because it's double geometry. And then I'm just going to go edit, copy, and then you can actually edit, paste, and you can see that it's imported these into the scene. So I'm going to pull them up here. And basically I turned off the shaders basically because you don't want it to import. We can delete everything but that. And the reason I wanted to bring in the bed is because I might replace, like this is a much nicer mattress and sheet set that we could put in that sort of like nook. And then rather than redoing this entire thing, we should be able to just grab the front of this, make it align to there, if I, like so, and then we can actually play with these surfaces. So I, like, for example, could keep the top of this, but then delete everything below that, because we already have it on the other model. So delete, 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 delete. We'll still need to modify this a bit, but now we have the counter at the standard height. And a reason for keeping it at the standard height is basically because we might want to reuse the design in the future. And then what I would do is basically grab, do we want to have a freezer as well? I'm going to say yes. So we're just going to play with a few different features, starting with actually, that was all separate. We didn't need it anyway. Okay. Is that like attached? Yes. I'm going to take that out. And, oh, it doesn't seem to be the same width, which is interesting. Wonder what's going on there. But yeah, my thinking is this, that we take this out. We're going to move all of these faces up here back in so it's parallel to this. Or at least parallel to, oh, got our grid snap on still. Parallel to this. No? Does that not work? What's going on with the other shapes here? There's a little shelf there. Okay. So yeah, we want to bring this in line with where things are on the other model. So let's say down here, that should be about the right shape. Then we can start doing fancy things like moving this to match that. So it's now looking like it's more deliberate. And then we can get rid of a few of these lines, and then I'm just going to try and recreate that sort of like look of a fridge and freezer. I think we'll just ditch the entire backside of this thing. Oh no, we don't want that. Let's keep that one. And we'll delete that, and we can delete, like, this is all very much a mess, but we're only concepting here. And when I say only concepting, I just mean we're not going for the printed version at the moment. We are shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit. random sound effect by Alvin. Oh, when did we... Okay, no, that was just a selection thing. Alright. So if I delete the bottom again... Yeah, we still have the top. Okay, good. So we take the top, we move it down, fit it to there. We're gonna have to modify things even more, but like I want to see where the height is at. So we want this thing, maybe if it's going to be the freezer, to be like the minimum viable product, sort of size-wise.
There was someone in the comments saying that the cold storage usually can be set to any temperature you want. I don't know if that is anything to consider in this case, but I found it interesting. Haven't thought about that.
Whilst I agree, the theory of retrofuturism is it's basically the technology level of the 1970s, and that it's been used pretty much everywhere. So in keeping with that, we're going to have a fridge and freezer unit. Anything that could, you know, I mean, it's not as sci-fi maybe, but...
It seems kind of a bit more interesting as well, I think.
Well, I don't know about that.
I don't think so.
Alrighty, so let's see if we're getting anywhere close to... Oh, that was almost perfect. So, let's get this table back. And we just move those pulleys down again. This time we just want to come to like there. Something like that. So we might need to make some further adjustments, obviously, but if we just go on by eye, it doesn't look too bad. One of these things looks larger than the other. That's what she said somewhere in there, but...
Not today.
Maybe not today. And this thing, if we just take these polygons out at the edge, or even, yeah, no, that should be fine. And then we get rid of these. Select this mesh, we invert the selection, delete everything there, and then we can look at importing it over onto this section here. So, let's see, we want to grab one of these corners. And that's going to fit nicely, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, the base mesh was developed out of the original or something like that. Because you can kind of see it fits fairly reasonably well. What's weird here is it feels like something's misaligned, or we've grabbed more geometry than we needed. Let's see. If I isolate this... Oh, okay, this entire edge here is not needed. So let's delete that. And yeah, if we just replace that bed with this one, maybe moving that forward to there, actually not there, let's go to center the pivot and see if we can align. Oh, is it aligned to the center? Yes, okay. So let's see how this looks. Okay, it's a bit too far over, but we're not too worried about that. So the beds aren't as wide, which also probably fits with the 1970s, to be honest. So rather than doing a whole heap of remodeling here, I think I'm just going to take out
That position.
No, I wouldn't do that. I'm just going to take out the old bed section, I guess, not the actual bed, but the bed, the bath, and beyond. So we're now bedless, and then we're just going to sort of like replace the geometry here. And integrate it, I guess. So There are a few differences here, a few things we might want to consider, but on the whole, that's going to look a lot neater than our old school, very simple beds from back in the day when, we didn't spend that much time on the details. Probably still wider than 70s Navy bunks. Yeah, I would say so. And for this, I normally wouldn't advocate this, but I'm going to drop to what we call the what do we call this, Alvin? We call it the smooth select. Is that it? Soft selection.
Oh, yeah.
Alvin is confused. And we're just going to up the scale here, and you can see it taking more and more of the pillow. And what this is going to do is, like, when we move this, rather than creating some, intersections, it's just going to, let me turn this off, it's going to squish that pillow a little. It won't be perfect, and that's why we're going to work on how far over this goes. You can kind of see visually how it's going to affect all these parts. We are going to lose a little bit of symmetry, but if we take this up to 7, maybe 9 by the looks of things, and we can try also straightening this out so it affects a little bit more. So when we pull this over, it's actually just going to shorten that pillow. So let's move the pivot point into the corner there, and then we want to just align this with, actually before I do that change, duplicate a copy so we've got one on scene, and then hopefully, yes, it's kept our selection. We just need to move the pivot point again. Alrighty, and let's move it over to align with this side. So it's not perfect. There is some intersection here, so we'll have to do some mesh work to sort of cut that off. Although the mesh work too could also be in the form of just moving this edge over a little bit. So we could, for example, could we maybe take these two, move the pivot point so that it's over here, and just scale it down until we get to this corner point here, alright? Close enough. Something like that. So it's still like not too different. It's still following the same sort of angles. We've just created a little bit more room. And we could probably do the same with this triangle as well. We just move the pivot point in here. We scale it back until it's approximately where it should be. And then I'm actually going to just snap that there and snap that there. So, and we'll be doing the same on the other side, but basically now we have a much nicer looking bed. Like if we turn off all of our sort of guides there, we need to fill that in a little bit, but you can really see the difference in quality. And why don't we make this white just to make it stand out? So even though like it would be nice if the blanket was a different color and the edges were slightly different, this is just going to create a far more interesting shape. And this is one where I would probably print it out on its back, but we'd need to work some more about, with that shape. It is a bit of an odd shape. Actually, see, because we have that padding, we're kind of limited. So it will print standing up as it is, actually. There is something to say that like if we did leave the ladder in, it would almost be better to make it go all the way to the top. But as I said, I think it makes a little bit more sense to have handholds rather than ladders, so we'll see where we get to. We certainly got plenty of handhold versions that we could use. Alrighty, So, thank you to everyone in the audience for all of those tips in the direction. I kind of agree that you're probably going to have limited use with the freezer and that sort of thing. Well, let's put it this way. These kind of ships are designed to travel for months or years. You only have the stores open when you're actually awake. So it'll probably be a combination of MRE and
Something edible.
and frozen, I guess. And also, I guess technically...
Cereals?
No, I was just thinking about heating and that sort of thing. So the cabin, you probably still would want to keep a cabin. It could be at freezing temperatures, but you wouldn't want to make it absolute zero. It would take a long time to actually get to absolute zero, if it was even possible. Because heat is hard to disperse in a vacuum. But, yeah, I think we've got the basic concept. So we need to work more on our galley. And sort of like customize it, make it look a bit interesting. I'm wondering if maybe we should have like a step.
Step galley?
Well, no, but like we keep this shelving as it is, and sort of like have these placed a bit further back, so you kind of like got a tier system. We'll see. I need to consider it a bit more.
Organ or something?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, if you're thinking like the keyboards on an organ, yeah. Certainly. So yeah, we will work on this some more, but thank you for today for being on this extra long stream. We're going to round things off now. I'll be back next week, although we will be streaming next time should be on Wednesday, because we will stream the final half hour or so of the campaign, maybe go 10-15 minutes over the limit, and see where we're at. Hopefully it's not as stressful as it has been, although stress in that case is a good thing usually, because it means we've got more funding. And without giving away all the details, for every 10, I mean this keeps us going for months and months at a time, and it really makes a big difference every 10,000 or so that we add. Works out with all our other income and that sort of thing to keeping the lights on another month. So thank you guys. I'm always too long-winded with these wind downs, but yeah. I'll see you guys on Wednesday, hopefully. Have a wonderful weekend, have a wonderful week, and I'll see you then. Spread the word on Soul Survivor. Check out the link, like, subscribe, and whatnot. And please, if you have the time or inclination, participate in our social stretch goals. It is like, honestly, if you say that you've done that and I can see some evidence of it, I'd almost be at the point where it's like, hey, you did a good favor. Even if you're not backing the campaign, pick out one of these items and I'll send it your way in STL format. Alright guys, take care. Bye.